Adrian, what were some of the challenges you had with growing Kevin's independence?
Kevin needed extra time more than other kids. So one of our challenges was to decide when was the appropriate time. And we usually just let him set the pace for us. Although we set the boundaries, one of the challenges was that our idea of the boundary and his idea of the boundary were not identical. So it was a challenge for us to be specific enough for him, but let it be open enough to let him explore.
Awesome.
I remember volunteering in his classroom in like third grade, and because Andrew's disability has to do with his speech a lot, I knew from working with Andrew that if I gave him the starting sound, like if he was reading "The boy went to" and he said "the" and I said "boy," he could get "boy." But like I tried doing that with the next child I was helping, didn't help at all.
So one of the interesting things we did with Kevin when he was little, and it wasn't necessarily purposefully, but just part of his growing, because it's how we grew up, was we took him everywhere that we went. We didn't keep him home. We didn't hire a babysitter when he needed to go grocery shopping. He went with us no matter what. We also found things he was interested in doing, like riding the Max or riding the bus, and incorporated those into his leisure time, to his playtime. He's learning, and it didn't cost a lot, and it got us out of the house for a little while.
When he was growing up, he didn't want to sit and do his homework. It was hard for him. He struggled with reading. You were supposed to read 30 minutes a night, all that stuff. You'd kind of have these battles to the point, and I remember going to the school and thinking, do you have any suggestions? What can we do? Is there anything that we can do to make this better? And it just seemed like he stagnated through junior high and high school and didn't make a lot of progress academically. But at the same time, he was finding that he liked movies and he liked collecting movies. He has been interested enough, he goes on the internet to see the release dates, and then he goes on the internet to read about the next Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And he's actually made documents where he tracks it all and makes little notes and makes these online little, desktop folders for all of his stuff. Wow. And so he's kind of the go-to person for movies around our house. But more importantly, I feel like allowing him to follow the path he was interested in, he actually, he reads about it now, and then his writing improved because he was making these notes for himself and figured out how to make a calendar in his phone for the movies. When he was like probably 5 or 6, and I was talking with one of the school workers, a psychologist or something, and as a parent, you're like, well then, even if he's slower, he'll just keep learning, right? It'll take him longer, but eventually he'll be able to learn everything. And the woman was there shaking her head like this. No, she said, you'll find that about 16, they'll reach the max that they're gonna really be able to do. Huh. And so, maybe that's why I was so stressed out about him working reading when he was younger, because we've got to do this before he turns 6. But I've seen continual progress with, and then
one small thing that Kevin did, and it's a small but huge thing, was one afternoon he came to me and said, "Mom, we need to go to the DMV." And I said, "Okay, why?" And he said, "I'm going to learn how to drive. And I've taken the learner's permit test online and I've passed, so now I want to go take it at the DMV." And I said, "Okay, let's get in the car." And he passed.
So one thing that our goal is that by the time we're not here anymore, that he's going to be able to take over for the most part on his own, with maybe some support from his brothers. Right. That they get to be their own person, and that sometimes as parents we end up holding him back as much as we help them move forward. Yeah. Because of just the natural parent concern.
I would say for the parents, the best thing you can do for your child is to educate yourself. If you hear about a newsletter, sign up for it. If you hear about a class, look into it. They're usually free for parents or caregivers, and the more education you have, the more you'll be able to do for your child. But also let your child guide you, let your child explore for you and with you, And don't set your artificial boundaries on them that if you believe they can't do it, they never will. If you believe they can, they will try. Another best piece of advice is to always ask. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you ask, you may just get what you wanted and possibly more.